Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Sudoku Tsvetii. We'll be doing a hard puzzle again, and we'll be moving on. We did very well yesterday. Let's see if we can repeat that performance and feel good about ourselves as we continue on with our week of doing difficult things for the sake of doing difficult things to make ourselves better at dealing with things. That sounded very uneducated, so I apologize for that. But I suppose that is the premise of doing stupid stuff. And once you get the stupid stuff done and out of the way, you can save a little bit more brain power for more intellectual pursuits. But not much going for our twos here. So let's see threes. Ooh, only one three. Goodness gracious, you must really not like me today. So shout out to threes. That is the double standard because if that were a five, I would have ripped that five a new one, and I might still rip five a new one depending on how he treats me today. We will just have to wait and see. We will just have to wait and see. You know that four has to be over there. No, four's over there. But not much else going down here. Just from these four. Let's see five. We have no fives. Maybe that sounds like a perfect world where there are no fives. Um, That sounded very dark. I apologize for that, but I don't know where that came from. That is not a typical representation of my character. I love all numbers, all Arabic numbers. So we have solved a lot of our sixes there, so that is great. Let's move on to our sevens. And if we can knock out a couple sevens, that'd be very awesome. We do know that seven has to be there, there, there. You know, seven is there, there. I mean, seven's up here somewhere. Seven just has to be up here if it can't be up here. So seven's up there and seven's down here. Okay. So now seven is up here. Yep. Yeah. There. So let's move on to our eights. See if eight will do anything for us. Go the way over there. Okay. So we now know that one, seven, and eight are down here, which means this will be our three. There. Which will leave this to be a 5 or a 9, which means that it's just a 5 and a 9. That'll be a 9 right there. Yeah, so that has to be 9. We were on 8 still, so let's go back to 8 just to verify, see if nothing changed. Still nothing. Go to our 9. Here with all a little bit of 9. Over there. 9 is over there somewhere, and we know it has to be one of those two, rather. Okay. Gone through it a little bit, so we have done a good little trip knocking down everything. We know 7 has to be up here. 3 could be really anywhere, but we won't talk about that right now. That is not a conversation that I'd be ready to have with my therapist at this moment, so we will move on. Go back to our ones. I mean, we just know 1 is right there. We know 1 is there, so we know 1 is actually at the top here. Will be one of these on the corners. Not much going for up here, except knowing it's on the corners naturally. We know 2 is up here, so this 2 has to be right here, which will leave us with, what, 5 and 3? Yeah. We have a 3 right there, so we know that'll be 3, 5, 9 right there. That is okay. That is okay. And if we know 7 and 8 have to be there, we know 3 and 5 have to be there, or 1, 7, and 8, since 3 and 5 are already taken. We know that has to be a 3 or 5. If we wanted to decorate this, we can, because we don't really know much else. But we can just mark that down for right now. Okay, let's go back through our numbers. We know 1 has to be there, has to be there. We just did our 2s. So, or we just did our threes. I'm not sure. So we know 3 has to be there. And so 3 has to be up here, top. Because it can't be over here. It is blocked up here. So we know 3 has to be there. And then naturally, hodgepodges of disaster. Okay. 4s are looking about the same, honestly. Not much going on the 4s. No 4 there, 4 there. 3, technically. Not the other one just yet. 5s, we have solved our first 5. So we are making progress. Not much, but still making progress nevertheless. So let's see. What can we do here? With 6s, yeah, not much going. 7s, we have 7s. Most of our 7s. Oh, we know 7 is right there. And in this one, we are missing 5. That could be a 5, technically. Yeah, we're missing 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. Yeah. This would be 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, because 4 and 7 taken up there. So this would be a 3, 5, 4, 7, technically. Oh, no, it can't be 7 down here. But we know that's a 5 or 7. We know that this is a 1, 4, or 7. So we are feeling pretty good about it. What about... We already went through our 6s. Yeah, 7s. About the same. Not much changing. I mean, knowing they're there at least. Like one of these 3 or one of these 2 down here. And then 7 has to be up there. Going over to our 8s. It's very similar to how it was previously. Just a new coat of paint on it. Yeah, not much else changing. We know 9 has to be there. We know 9 has to be one of these 2 in the middle. Well, out of these, we just know that 3, 5, and 9 have to be there. 3, 5, and 3, 9 have to be over there. Okay. So we are starting to lose a little bit of the plot here. I'm starting to get a little sleepy. That is okay. We know 8 can't be up there, so 8 has to be down there, and we're missing 3 and 5. That has to be a 3 or 5. 5, that 5. Because we don't really have much else going for that. But we do know that it can potentially be 3, 5, technically, and that. I'm starting to lean towards the corners, like this one and this one being 3, 5, and this will be a 9, and the other number we are missing is a 2. I'm missing 2 right there. Yeah, 2 has to be right here in the middle. Which, nice to know now. Never marked it down. We just went through all the numbers and didn't mark it down for some reason. Great job. Very professional. Ooh, excuse me. We are looking pretty good. I'm starting to believe that 3 and 5 are right over here. And of course, if we get the 3 or 5 here, we know that that'll be the other one on the other side. So like, for example, if this were 5, that would be 3, that would be 9. And so on and so forth. That actually cannot be a 3. That just has to be a 5 instead. So that is actually 5 and 9. And this is 5 and 9. See what happens when you just take a second to see how bad of a mistake you'd almost make if you were just rushing everything. Yeah, we know that's 5, 9 instead. We know this is a 5, 7, so we know 5 cannot be here or here. Because one or both of these have to be a 5. Yes, and that is the only thing else that can go there. If this was a 7, the other would have to be a 5. If that was a 9, where my cursor is, the other one would have to be a 7. But I can go ahead and mark these down technically as well. 9. It could technically be that cannot be a 9. You get my point. Okay. We know 9 has to be one of these two naturally. We know 9 is one of those two naturally. Yeah, not much going, not much going. Might have to start grasping for straws at this point with these over here. So if we wanted to be ever so courageous and say that was a 5, that was a 9, and that was a 3, we could say like, oh, well, then that has to be a 3. It is a 3. The 3's down there, so 3 would have to be up there. Then we would see 3 would have to be here. 3's there. We know 3 is one of these two. If 5 was right here, we know 5 would be right there. That'd be a 1 5. That would be 1 5 since there is just 2 and 9 right there. So this would have to be 9. Because 2 would have to be there as well. So why can't that be 2? Why couldn't that be 2? Well, I mean, that 9 is just off, so yeah. And this would be an 8, leaving us with just the 1 and 5 over there. 8 will have to be in the middle. Okay. We are looking pretty good. Ooh. Go back. We need to go back. If this was not 9, that would be a 5 instead. If that is supposed to be doing, but we did not, so 5 has to be there, so 5 is there. 5 is down here, so 5's on the corners, or on the edges, rather. Those, we know 5. 2 and 3 are both right here. It'll leave us 1 and 9, since there's a 9 intersecting with here. Makes that a 9. Since there's a 1 over there, we know 1. We're still looking pretty good. Still looking pretty good. Okay. Yeah, we know 2 has to be over there. The 2 is right there, so we can't really verify anything up top just yet for 2's. The 3 is right here, 3 is right here, so 3 has to be up here. So we're missing 1, 3, 4, 7 over here. That could be a 3. Be 1 and 3. The 3 could technically be other spots, because 3 could technically be down here. So if there's a 1, if we know that 3 cannot be there, since 3 can only be there or there. If this is 4, that's 1, 3, so that'll be 7. Okay. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. I believe that's correct. We will see very shortly if this 7 was actually valid or not. We do know that this will have to be a 1 right there. We know corner still at the bottom over there. What about our 2? Still nothing going on the 2's situation other than knowing that 2 has to be up there. 3's we figured out it had to be up here, and these 2 in the this side column, that middle column. Fours, still nothing going with the fours. No fours in the middle. And it's one or the other. You know, 4 is down here. And 4 has to be down here. Fives. We actually have a good little bit of fives now, which is awesome. We know 5 has to be down there. 5 has to be in the middle. And 5 is definitely in this circle somewhere. About 6s. Missing 2 6s. Right there, and then right there at the bottom. Not much going. We know 7 has to be there, and 7's there. Anything with our 8. 8 is right there. But yeah, not much. We know 8 has to be over here. Which means this will just be a 3, since there's a 3 in the other section, leading us to there. 5, 7, 8 here, which would be 6. That'll be a 4. 7. Being new with 7s at the point. Seven's right here. Here. No real news developing for 8. Besides just knowing one of them is at the bottom over here. Did 9s transform at all? Probably not, because we already had all of our 9s already. Silly. But let's see. We're still looking good. Still looking good and doing fine. Alright. We're missing 4 and 8. So this has to be a 3. We know 3 has to be there, so 3 cannot be here. I think we just have to be there, so that 3 there. 1, 2, and 5. So 1 and 2. This will just have to be a 2. That's our 5. 1. A 5. 5, silly. Bring it back. You know, 5 is right there and right there. 5 is one of. We went back to what we said about 3. Yep. If we know 3 has to be here, and if it's not here, it has to be down here. Because it can only be a 1, 3, or 5, and 1 is already taken. That has to be a 3 or a 5. And then this has to be a 2 or a 3. I mean, technically, we can't really prove that just yet. I mean, we know that 1, 2. Technically. We'll go ahead and mark that as a 2. So yeah, we kind of just did that for bits and giggles at that point. We didn't really solve much of anything. Yeah, it didn't really solve much of anything there. That was just a shot in the dark from a sad and desperate man trying to figure out a puzzle. Oops, I hit hint. Did not mean to do that. Still looking good. I mean, we kind of already know now that that is an 8, which kind of solves most of the puzzle there for us. That is just fine. That is just swell. 7 and 8 are both taken, which means that'll be there. There. 6 is up there, so that's a 5. Actually, we do not know yet. That could be a 2. Let's see. Anything else come open through this? We know one's right there. One is on the corner still. Not much going for our 2s, unfortunately. 3s. Not much going on 3s. We just know 3 has to be up here. Oh, did I forget that 3 was blocked? So yeah, that is just... That is 3, 5, 1. That could be... No, that cannot be a 3. So this has to be 3. And then we are missing 2 and 5. No, still incorrect. If we said this was 2, this would be 3. That would be 5. Okay, that actually works. Yeah, just started confusing ourselves for no reason, it appears. I do not know why, but certainly was interesting. Or certainly has been interesting. We are missing, what, 3, 4, and 8, so that can take 3. Actually, no. 3 is blocked over there, so that is the 3. That is 4, that is an 8. That a 1. And then we are just missing a 8 right there, which would be our last 8. That'll be a 3. That'll be a 6. 2, 4. That'll be a 2, 6. So we did dilly-dally for a little bit here. We were able to solve it through and through. Anyways, take care, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next video. Remember to like and or subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.